This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at Palmeira Das Missoes. Now this pronunciation is brought to you by Google Translate, so if I did it wrong, let Google know because I don't know any difference. At any rate, this map roughly translates to palm trees of the missions. This is another Brazilian map, and I have to say I kind of enjoy this trend of seeing something other than European maps or American maps. So it's really nice to see maps from other regions of the world that, quite frankly, many of us probably will never get to visit in real life. Now let's read a little bit of the description. This map is based on the palm region of the missions in the Rio Grande do Sul, southern Brazilian area. This map was created with a lot of affection and dedication to show players a little bit of agriculture in Brazil. This map has two sell points, the sell of bales, wool, and cotton, milk and egg sell points. This map also has a sell point for logs and wood chips. There is a limestone mine, and I have to say, it seems like all the Brazilian maps share that in common in having a mine where you can get your limestone. This map includes sorghum, black beans, and rice as additional crops. But before we get into the map, this video is brought to you by David Gillespie. Thank you for being a farm baron. Let's go ahead and load on in the mods that we typically use when we take a look at these maps. And I will say that I loaded this map up in farm manager mode, and everything on the map is exactly how you will see it in new farmer mode. And in fact, I would say that I would suggest that everyone start on farm manager mode for the purpose of having more money. The reason I say that is that even in new farmer mode, which is what we are loaded into right now, you do not own any land. So if we go ahead and take a look here at the lands area, you'll see that we do not own any land at the start of new farmer mode. So why not start on farm manager mode, where again, you don't start with any land. You do start with all of your farm equipment, and you do start with a much larger bank account. So once again, let's go back on in and take a look. So we do have all of the crop types available to us on Farm Sim 19, as well as sorghum, rice, and black beans. We once again take a look at the lands area. You'll see that we start out, we can buy the main farm here, which includes the shop and a chicken coop for $61,500. There is also a pig area that we could buy for $14,700 and a cow area that we could buy for $320,000. Other animal areas include a horse area for $139,000 and a sheep area for $157,800. Now, this map does include a biogas plant as well. The biogas plant, though, is not buyable on its own. You have to buy what I call the unbuyables, which is all of the sell points and various other areas on the map, including the roads. And that is $4.3 million. So we're going to have to test that when we get up to the biogas plant to see if we can dump silage into the bunkers or not. I don't think we're going to be able to because we don't own it and we can't buy it unless we have $4.3 million. So I do think that that is a bit of an oversight. I think the map author could have made it a small buyable area, just like this small forest is buyable, and then we would have alleviated that little issue. So if we take a look at some of the fields around the main farm, we have field 1, which is $268,000. Field 6, $291,000. Field 7, $490,000. And field 2, which is $925,000. So again, it's kind of indicating that we really need to start with as much starting capital as possible in order to be able to get a good start on this particular map. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the generic soil map. So this map does not have a custom soil map, nor does it have a custom seasons mask. So we can see here how the generic soil map is being applied to the farmland. We've got the obligatory swath of silty clay around the north and west of the map. Then it sweeps around the southern area of the map. And the heart of the map is mostly loamy sand, sandy loam, and loam. We look at the sell points. You see that we have two main sell points for our grain crops. We also have the knitting sell point for our cotton and wool. We have a dairy for our eggs and milk. We do have a sawmill sell point for wood chips and logs. We have a bale sell point for silage, hay, straw, and grass if we do not own the BGA, which again, I don't think many players are going to be able to buy at the outset. That is also going to be the sell point for our straw and hay pellets. And then we have our sell points for sorghum, rice, and black beans. We have a very small list of starting equipment. All of it is new, well maintained. None of it is leased. We do not have any animals at the start, and we do indeed have contracts available on the map. We take a look at our starting equipment. We start with a pair of Puma 185 CVX tractors and a Valtra N134. So our tractors range in horsepower from 145 to 225 horsepower. We have the Massey Ferguson 7347S harvester. That is then paired with the Free Flow 25-foot header and the Stara Ninja 19,000 auger wagon. We have the Stara Series Master 3570 seater. And then we complete our inventory of equipment with the Hardy Mega 2200 sprayer. And that is it. You'll notice we do not have a sleep trigger here. We also, since we don't own any of the animal areas, we don't have any animal areas to sell. But that is also because all the animal areas are built into the map. They are not buyable or sellable. In fact, there are no custom placeables on this map, including any sort of multi-fruit silo to go along with our sorghum, rice, and black beans. So that's a pretty important point to note. Hopefully there are multi-fruit silos in the mod hub that we'll be able to put down here and just work with those additional crop types. So let's go ahead and kind of take a look over here around the starting area. So again, we do not have a sleep trigger here at the house. That's not that big of a deal because we can always put one down ourselves. Over here we have the pig area that we can purchase. 300 pigs in this area. And I guess technically maybe we could use this area without owning it, although I'm not sure if we're going to be able to tip into the straw or food troughs. And speaking of those, the straw trigger is going to be right here. Specifically, you're going to want to blow straw into that area right there. We have our food trough, slurry, and manure. We have our water trough for our pigs. And we activate the animal pen extension mod, which is what puts the blue pipes here. And that helps us locate, one, where is the water trough? And two, helps us see if this particular map would have custom support for the water trough pipes. And the fact that they're stacked right here just implies that it does not have custom support for it. That doesn't mean we still cannot use them. Here we have the chicken area, so we can buy or deliver our chickens here. 400 chickens in this particular coop area. We have our food trough and our egg spawn point. Our vehicle shop is also here, so I'm just going to go ahead and get our Mahindra. And you'll see that the vehicle spawn point is right here at the shop. So when it does come time to placing down a silo or other farm buildings, you're going to kind of want to keep this area over here free so you don't go and plop a building down on top of your shop spawn point. Now we do have a horse, or not a horse, but a cow area nearby. That is right here. We have our slurry point. We have our delivery point for our cows. 200 cows in this particular coop, or not coop, but pasture. Our milk trigger is actually right here. So part of the animal pen extension mod is the Lily milk sales machine. And this particular area is where the milk trigger is. So that is very helpful because there's no real visual indicator anywhere that this might happen to be a milk trigger. And then inside we have our food trough. Even though this is using the water trough model, this is set up to be the food trough. And then the water trough is right here. And again, we know this because we activate the animal pen extension mod, and the water pipes always show up at the water trough. Now, I will say that I looked all over this big cow pasture, and I did not find the straw trigger anywhere. We're going to see in the other area over there for the horses that the straw trigger is underneath this building, but it's not here for the cows. So I'm honestly completely lost as to where the straw trigger might be, or if there even is one. But if we take a look here at the animals, you're going to see that our our cows are set up to produce manure, and they are set up to require straw. But again, I do not know where the straw trigger is located. Now, a little hint on getting your equipment out of here, because I was a little lost on how to get that out of here too. Well, you're going to have to take it around this fence here at this gate. So this is how you're going to have to get your equipment out of where it is stored presently, because there is a fence right here. You're not going to be able to back your stuff up because there is a fence blocking your way. So the only way to get all that stuff out is to basically come out of here. That is pretty much the main farm. I'm going to get set up for the fly around, and we'll take a look at the horse area and the sheep area, and I'll show you where the manure spawns for the cows, because it's a fair little ways off. We'll get a little bit of altitude here, and just do a quick little pan around, and you can see how big this cow pasture area is. So you can see the cow. Maybe let me go over there. You see Mr. Moo Cow down there, and this huge fenced-in area follows the tree line. Continues on. And that is a very large cow pasture. And then over here, if you're paying attention, here is the manure point for your cows. And I'm sure we'll see that as we make our way out of the farm area. Just keep a little spin around. Overall, the map is pretty open. There are patches of trees scattered here and there, but overall you're going to see that the map is very open. You're also seeing that there are utility poles that do span fields. Those utility poles do have collisions, so they are not going to be helper friendly. So if you do hire a helper, they are going to avoid these poles. And if you do use course play, because these fields are fairly big, then you're going to have to use the avoid islands, or the island detection mechanism, to pick up on those pole locations and then have course play avoid them. It does look like we do have also some custom crop textures on the map. Here we have some growing soybeans. Here we have our sorghum growing. Let's head on over here and check out the horse area. So here we have the horse area and the sheep area beside each other. The delivery point for horses is right here at the gate. And then inside of here, we have the food trough, the water trough, and then the straw area is underneath of this roof pavilion type area. And then the sheep are located inside the gate. So unlike the other pens, we have to go inside the gate, or right at the gate. We can get our sheep, 250 sheep in this particular area. And we have the food trough and water trough right there for a sheep. Our wool spawn point is on the other side of the gate, right here. And you can see how the gate swings into this area. So yeah, you might want to be careful about opening this gate if you've got wool here in this area. And you might want to be careful about leaving the gate open also if you're going to have sheep, because again, how it appears to conflict with the wool spawn. A little bit more altitude here. We'll pull up the large version of the PDA. So we've got some cell points off in that direction there. We got the sawmill off in that direction. Sorry, that direction. Some cell points in that direction. We have the mine up there in the northeastern corner. Biogas plant. Another cell point off in the northwestern corner. Valley Grains is hidden in that grove of trees. And then the dairy is in that grove of trees down there. So as you can kind of get a good sense, this map has some very large rolling fields. And we might as well just go ahead and get started with the drive around. Come out up of the area. There we have our manure pile for the cows. We'll head over this way to the animal dealer. can now see right over here to our right. The animal dealer is really just a fenced-in area and an animal chute. So here we have the animal dealer. See, we have some custom ground textures. This particular texture is related to planted corn. Kind of like this overall appearance. Gives you a sense of no-till planted corn. This map is a standard size map, but it's going to play like a much bigger map because of how we have to kind of drive around in order to get to places. It's going to be a lot of doubling back, unlike some maps that are really kind of set up with a ring road where you can just kind of go around the map and hit all the important elements. This map is not quite set up that way. So it does look like most of these areas, there's only one way to get to them. So here we are, we're coming into a grain sell point and a bale sell point. So the bale sell point is, interestingly enough, right here. And let's get out and go there. So there you can see the trigger for the bale sell point. It's just right here. No other obvious indicator that there's anything going on other than that is the bale sell point. And then if we come up this direction, we have our grain dump right here. And then what looks like the only road to get to the lime mine is going to be this direction, this way. We come down underneath field 22. And between field 22 and 21, very interestingly shaped field 20 here on our left. This is a very interesting area to have to come and get your lime. And I gotta think that you probably want to come with a very large trailer to get your lime as opposed to having to drive this pretty much one road in, one road out path to get to your lime. Coming down in here to the lime mine, we've got a bit of a little pond or a little lake that is appeared as a result of the mining operations. And we have our lime fill trigger. And then we've got to head on our way back out. I do have to say, overall, I think the mine is set up pretty nice. I like how it's set up. And the roads, there's only one way in here, one way out. So that's going to make for a pretty long run if you are trying to lime a field maybe in the middle of the map or in the northern side of the map, because you're going to have to drive down here. If you are working on field 19, for example, you're going to have to follow this road. You have to come down past the animal areas in order to just double back to the well, it looks like there might be an access road for 19 out here in the back, but still, you kind of get my point, right? That you could very conceivably have to drive all the way around the map just to get to your line point and drive all the way back. Get a fleet of lime spreaders. So the next stop will be our sawmill. See, we have a distracted by the bevy of floaters over there. Levitating trees. So here we have our sawmill, and I have to say this is going to be the biggest pile of wood chips you've probably ever seen in a farm sim map. We have our log sell point right here, and then our wood chip pile is right here. Although the way these chips have been magnified, it almost makes it look like it's a lit wood pile. But that trigger is right here where the Mahindra is. Not to get lost. So the next stop will be the dairy. It's going to require us to drive past the main farm. Here. Or maybe not. This is going to be leading up to Valley Grains, it looks like. Whoa, rickety bridge over some muddied water. Also coming up here to our only fuel point. So this would be a great candidate to get a bunch of fuel and bring it back to the main farm. Put a placeable fuel trigger down there, either as storage or as just a placeable fuel pump. So we have our fuel depot right here. And then our cotton and wool sell point is basically up here on this porch. Okay. Let's see if we can get in here to Valley Grains. And is this field rice? Yep, so here's our rice crop. This is what rice looks like when it's ready to harvest. And we're going to use our standard grain header to harvest our rice and our black beans. We're going to use our corn header to harvest our sorghum, or we can use our forage headers to also harvest sorghum. But we can't use, interesting enough, we can't use the small Pottinger MEX5. We have to use one of our bigger forage headers for a forage harvester to harvest sorghum. So I guess what grain spoon must mean is that we could harvest it for grain using the corn header, or we could chop it for silage using a forage harvester. So here we are at the second grain sell point. We have our dump station. A little tight maybe to get in and out of there with a big road train of trailers. Now, I just want to look and see. It looks like to get to the biogas plant, we go north. And I'm trying to figure out how to get to the dairy. So maybe there's a road here that I didn't know about or didn't notice. So I'll come back to you once we get back to the main farm. We're going to double back here between this roads between 12 and 14 and make our way back through the roads eventually to the main farm, and then we'll see if we can get down there to the dairy. pulling on in here to the main farmyard, and there is indeed a road running along here between the cow pasture and field 2. So it looks like this is the road that's going to take us down to the dairy. I mean, if you like big open fields, I think this map will work really good for you. It's very big open fields. Irregularly shaped fields for sure. So these fields aren't necessarily going to be hire a helper and go off and come back and watch them have completed the task. It's going to be a course play type field for PC, or just a pretty big, you know, hand-holding field for console. So here we have our milk and egg trigger right here at this area. And once again, we will drive back to the main farm. And I'll pick you up as we are driving up past the horse and the sheep. So to catch you up, we are driving past the horse area and the sheep area. We only have one more destination to get to, and that is the biogas plant. I do want to put some silage in the back of my trailer, or some chaff. Just use grass, that'll work. The reason we want to do this is I want to see if I can tip in those bunkers. I do not think I will be able to without owning the land, and I have to have $4.3 million to buy the biogas plant, because the biogas plant is set up to be part of the large unbuyable area. So here we are at our PGA. We've got two large three-sided bunkers. We have our very interesting setup here. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? We have a huge collision right here. Where the model wasn't imported. The sign was imported, but the model's collision is still here. We've got our dump station for our digester right here. We have our digestate fill spout right there. Now, these little squares over here are just indicative of a contract. You can see the collisions and the triggers for the silage. Okay, we got dump 1 and bunker number 2. The triggers are showing up. But again, I don't think I'm going to be able to dump in here without owning the land. Let's go ahead and find out. Force unload. So I don't have access to the land. So that's one problem. So I have to buy all of this land in order to use the biogas plant bunkers. The other problem is I have a invisible structure right here. So you have to be real careful about how you're trying to get to this dump station. And then when you do get to this dump station, which is going to be right around here, well, you may or may not be able to get your digestate out because that is pretty low. And depending on things, you may or may not be able to get your tank to recognize that trigger, which is pretty small and short. So, kind of bummed to leave this map on such a down note with respect to the findings of the BGA. But the BGA, I think, really just needs to be reworked in an update. Have a small little bit of land that you can buy that's associated with the biogas plant. Also, to fix that missing collision, get rid of that collision. And maybe fix up the digestate a little bit. This is kind of a cool little area. But overall, this is a pretty interesting map for someone that likes large open maps, rolling fields, irregularly shaped fields. This map is definitely not hired helper friendly. But every map doesn't necessarily need to be a bunch of rectangles or squares. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of this map, which is the Palms of the Mission. And until next time, happy farming.